Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. If you have seen my on structuring your chapter and on structuring your sentences within your novel, you'll know I fangirl hard about this book. First of all, look at how gorgeous this cover is. It's beautiful. And on the inside, we have this gorgeous library in here. Also, Matt saw Erin Morgenstern do a talk at Mr. B's Emporium, which is when we got this book, and he got it signed for me. I was so happy. I love it so much. And it has sprayed edges with the key, the bee, and the sword. I have had this book on my shelf for years. Matt went to see Erin Morgenstern at Mr. B's Emporium in Bath when we first moved back to the country, which was, I don't know, was it 4 years ago now, maybe? 4 years? And I have no idea why it took me so long to read this book. Who knows, because as soon as I started it, I couldn't put it down. And as I said at the start of this video, if you've seen those writing tips videos, you'll know I fangirled hard, so it was not difficult for me to read. This is going to be the first book we use my review template that I made in my vlog, that looks now if you haven't seen that vlog, where we decided on how to mark books for my future book reviews so they're all sort of marked in the same way. So this is the first one using that template. As always with my book reviews, I'll read you guys the blurb first. Before we get into that, don't forget if you like what you see to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Alrighty, blurb time. Are you lost or are you exploring? When Zachary Rawlins stumbles across a strange book hidden in his university library, it leads him on a quest unlike any other. Its pages entrance him with their tales of lovelorn prisoners, lost cities, and nameless acolytes. But they also contain something impossible, a recollection from his own childhood. Determined to solve the puzzle of the book, Zachary follows the clues he finds on the cover: a bee, a key, and a sword. They guide him to a masquerade ball, to a dangerous secret club, and finally through a magical doorway created by the fierce and mysterious Mirabelle. This door leads to a subterranean labyrinth filled with stories hidden far beneath the surface of the earth. When the labyrinth is threatened, Zachary must race with Mirabelle and Dorian, a handsome barefoot man with shifting alliances, through its twisting tunnels and crowded ballrooms, searching for the end of his story. You are invited to join Zachary on the Starless Sea, a home of storytellers, story lovers, and those who will protect our stories at all costs. Ew! So this is a fantasy, but a light fantasy, so it's based in our own world with a fantasy element. So similar to The Night Circus, which is Erin Morgenstern's first novel, where it is the normal world with a magical circus. This is the normal world with a labyrinth under the earth. So one magical place and one real world. It is so beautifully written, and as I said in the chapter structure video, its structure is fascinating. You are reading a book within a book. It reminds me of Alice in Wonderland meets The Neverending Story meets games. So computer games here, where you follow a quest, where you find a locked door and you must do certain tasks to open the door. The book follows and plays with these structures. It also has a lot of cats, which is very important on this channel. On the back, we have praise for Erin Morgenstern. The Times says the only response to this novel is simply wow. A breathtaking feat of imagination, a flight of fancy that pulls you in and wraps you up in its spell. The Guardian says, enchanting, I was compelled by the world itself, by its saturated colours and textures. It is a surprisingly rare thing in fiction, a strikingly beautiful world in spite of its darkness. And Audrey Niffenegger, the author of The Time Traveller's Wife, says, playful and intensely imaginative, this is a marvellous book. Now, on Goodreads, this book does actually have a lot of very varying and conflicting reviews, from 5 stars to 1-star reviews here. And a lot of the reason for that is a lot of people didn't get on with the structure, which I personally absolutely loved. The book begins with the book within a book. Now, you actually read 3 chapters from the book within a book, then you read about a protagonist who finds themselves in this book. The chapters lead on one from the other in this beautifully imaginative use of chapter structure. Now, that is what some people find jarring, because obviously every time you're taken away from the main story, you are in the story. But these stories all link to the main story and are part of this main story. The book is also split into 5 sections, if I recall correctly, and each section sort of creates a new book within a book that the protagonist is reading. Some people find this jarring, some people like myself absolutely adored this. So just so you're aware, that is the main device used in this book and the main thing that differed in reviews on Goodreads. I'm going to try and make this as spoiler-free as possible, so spoiler-free review of the Starless Sea. I'm trying to do this more now. Let me know if you guys prefer spoiler-free or spoilers included. Comment down below. Page 1. There is a pirate in the basement. This is the opening line to this book, and it is just a fantastic way to open a book because it instantly gives you a question. There is a pirate in the basement. Why is there a pirate in the basement? Whose basement? What pirate? What era are we in? So many questions form from that one sentence, which is just a fantastic opening line for a book. Page 13. In this significant moment, if the boy turns the pointed knob and opens the impossible door, everything will change. But he does not. Ooh, so that is the end of a chapter. Now, again, this gives you so many questions. What would happen if the boy opened that door? What happens now he has not opened that door? How has that changed the whole story in that one moment? Skipping a little bit, that same area. And so the son of the fortune teller does not find his way to the Starless Sea. Not yet. Again, this is a fantastic, it foreshadows what's to come. And also gives you this need to know what the Starless Sea is. We know that is the title of the book. So this boy has been given the opportunity to go to the Starless Sea. He has not taken it. What does that mean for our boy? Where will he go from here? So many questions, guys. Page 19 is fantastic showing of a character's progression. Tapestries sent from his mother drape the walls and make the room admittedly cozier, partially because he cannot seem to get the sage smell out no matter how many times he tries. Tell us it's the boy from the previous chapter without telling us it's the boy from the previous chapter. We know our main protagonist, Zachary Rawlins, is the boy from that chapter because of the sage. Erin Morgenstern does not tell you this is the same person. You know it is the same person because it's shown so well through the smell of sage. It's great characterization, guys. Page 26. The dog chases cars and sheep and dares to bark at the dragon. A doll's house, city, universe created by many children and people. This random dragon oddly makes sense in such a world and makes the dollhouse more real, even though it is all fiction, until it sometimes takes the dolls quite a while to adapt. The dolls are alive. This is a chapter called The Dollhouse. So our protagonist talks about dollhouse, and then miraculously there's a doll's house in the next chapter. The doll's house has a whole universe within it, including a dragon, and somehow having a dragon makes it feel more real. And then the fact that the dolls take a while to adjust to these changes tells you the dolls are alive. So now instantly we want to know about this doll's house. Each chapter gives you so many questions and so many stories you want to know about. This is like the Alice in Wonderland theme. Not only do we go underground, it's this idea that just everything creates more questions for the reader. Everything is fantastical and interesting and leaves you wanting more. Page 70 to 72, it's not a quote, but if you read those pages, I'm not going to read them to you because it's quite a lot, but that walk down the dark corridor, is it just me or is that spicy? It was hot to me. If you haven't read The Night Circus, Erin Morgenstern's first book, that is definitely a romance. The Starless Sea has romance within it, but it is not overall what I would say a romance book. It is more a fantasy adventure. Now, actually in some ways a mystery. But that corridor, ooh, you get the same feel like you do in The Night Circus if you're like, yes, 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 do it, do it, do it. I get that same need to want these two characters to get it on and get together. Very well written. Page 81. You can call me Dorian, the man says. Is that your name? Does it matter? Oh, the intrigue. Again, showing, not telling, this time showing through dialogue. Just fantastic writing. We now want to know, is that Dorian's real name? Does it matter if that's not his real name? Oh, the burn. Page 86, if you have seen my video on sentence structure, this is the example I used in that because it is just, it shows the character's urgency and change in their emotions, in the situation just so well. Page 86. Yes, I have questions, Zachary says, louder than he means to. Who the hell are you anyway? Where did you come from? Why can't you do this yourself? What's so important about this particular book, and who are these people really, and what did the mouse do with the Fate's heart? Who is Mirabelle, and at what point during all this covert activity am I allowed to go back to my hotel room to get my face windows, eyeglasses, spectacles? This is a fantastic example of sentence structure because you can use the full stop to make a breath. Now, if you heard how I was reading that there, you start with each question has a breath, and then eventually those question marks disappear and are replaced by and. This means as the reader you technically shouldn't take a breath, which makes you read the words faster because you're running out of breath. This shows the urgency in the character. They are getting messed up. They are getting stressed, and you can hear that and see that in the sentences. And not only are they getting faster in how they are speaking, they are forgetful. They forgot the word for glasses or spectacles and called them face windows, followed by eyeglasses. It's a simple thing, but because they are getting so irate, they are forgetting things whilst asking Dorian so many questions. It's great. Now on page 95, I have my first possible negative in this book. It might be a continuity error, or it is just how I am reading it. If you have read this book, please let me know down below what you think. But in one part we have, he puts it in the inside pocket of his suit jacket. Then a little bit later on the same page we have puts the book in his coat. Now depending on how you read that, it can be that our protagonist Zachary Rawlins is picking the book up and putting it in two different places in two different parts from the same place, or that he's removing it from the inside pocket to put it in his coat pocket. I don't know which is right. This could be a continuity error, or it could just be how I read it. Who knows, but I felt I need to say it just in case. On page 156, now this is literally me fangirling in the fact of how much I connect with our main protagonist, Zachary Rawlins. Tall skim milk matcha latte. I love now that I'm reading more modern books, how they have modern things like matcha and chai, and apart from the semi-skimmed milk, I generally have oat milk in my matcha lattes. Zachary Rawlins is a guy after my own heart because that would be my order also, is a matcha latte, but I'd have oat milk. It just made me connect with the character. I just had to put it in here. I know it's fangirling, but it is what it is. I also have another quote. Now, I didn't actually write the page this is on because it was on a page that didn't have the page number, and quite often, especially because I was enjoying reading this book, I take a picture of the quote I want to say for you guys and then write it in my notebook of all the quotes. It didn't have the picture, and I didn't want to stop reading to get my notebook. So at some point in between page 156 and 223, it says the local seer was merely nearsighted. It's humorous and I love it. Seers are renowned in fantasy for being blind. The metaphor of they can't see this world, but they can see others and into the future and into the past and all that beautifulness. I love how it's just a little humour in there that this seer was merely nearsighted. It's just sweet, eases the tension a little within the book. On page 223, wonders what makes a woman a witch. Now this comes after Simon thinks it's odd that Eleanor wears trousers, doesn't know what era this woman is from, and Eleanor basically says, how else would you climb trees? So I just like this quote because it just brings up a topic that is quite interesting of what made a woman a witch in the past. And it was basically just a woman who didn't fit into the stereotypes or the societal norms of that era of what people expected a woman to be and do. And I just like how that kind of comes up. It's not even discussed, it's just a passing comment. It makes you think of so much more than just that comment, and that's just great writing. The fact that Erin Morgenstern can just write a little bit of dialogue and it creates a full other world outside of the book that you're currently reading, even outside of the characters you're reading. I just loved it. And finally, my last quote is page 331. They continue on in the opposite direction from the cat, which Zachary silently notes is a bad idea. I agree. As I said at the start of this video, this book has so many cats in and I'm here for it. And the cat goes one way and our protagonist goes another. Now, I don't know why we're all taught this, or is it just me? In a disaster situation, quite often we're told to follow an animal because animals seem to be more instinctive than us quite often. They know where to go. This works except where they can fit in smaller gaps than you. But I just love how that's also brought up by our protagonist. And my final quote is again another one without a page number because I was too into the book. But it is, "You'll pry this Adventure Time notebook from my cold, dead hands, ya ding dong." I love how this is really truly in the character's voice. And I just love that character. So just a quote I wanted to say to you guys. That's it for my quotes from the Starless Sea. Now, I mean, you can probably guess my review of this book at this point, but let's go into the template I made of how I'm going to mark my book reviews from now. So we're going to mark this book on entertainment, writing style, plot, originality, world building, characterization, and representation. Now these are all marked out of 5. Then they are correlated to give us a review out of 5 stars. Entertainment, I gave this book a 5. I couldn't put it down. I was very much enthralled in this world. I want to live in this world. It's so good, guys. Writing style, also a 5. You've heard this video. I'm fangirling on this. I talk about its chapter structure, its sentence structure, its showing, not telling. It's beautifully vivid. It's world building. Oh, its plot, I gave it a 5 out of 5 for me personally. It has a beginning, middle, and an end. The characters get from A to B. It leaves it open. I really liked the plot. I know other people didn't. As I said at the start of this video, it's due to the chapter structure. If you're someone who really does not like stories that aren't linear, that interrupt with different parts, then it might not be for you. But if you want to give it a go and you don't mind a book being different chapters at different points, this is a book within a book. That's all I'm going to say. I gave it 5 for plot. Originality, I gave it a 5 also, even though it does remind me of Alice in Wonderland, it reminds me of The Neverending Story, it reminds me of games. It's not taken from those, it even mentions those in here. Our main protagonist is a games story designer. So of course the way they view this world that they enter is going to be within the gaming world and compared to the gaming community. So I really liked it. World building, 5 out of 5. Characterization, 5 out of 5. I could not relate more to Zachary Rollins. I love him. And Dorian, ooh, love it. And just, I loved all the characters in this. They were all very different. They were all relatable too. You could understand why they were doing what they were doing. I really liked it. And finally, representation. I did give it a 5 out of 5 because we have characters from various backgrounds. We have characters from the LGBTQ plus community represented. We have a character in a wheelchair. We have a character who cannot speak. Different people are represented. I felt personally in this book. I gave it 5 out of 5, which ultimately gives it a mark 35 out of 35, which means a 5-star read for me. It's actually my first 5-star read of this year, is it? Who knows? I'm going to say it was. I absolutely adored this book. Like The Night Circus, I would recommend this to any fantasy lover. It is light fantasy. It's not a gigantic adventure, completely new world. It's a world within our world, so you have that grounding for someone who's into light fantasy. I would class it as this. It has romance in it, it has mystery, it has clues for you to solve. I absolutely adored it. I cannot wait for Erin Morgenstern to write another book. She must be due at this point. Please say you're writing another book. And that's it for my book review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!